Bitcoin predictions based on Bitcoin astrology. None of this content is financial or investment advice. Welcome. I'm Jack, an engineer gone crypto astrologer. I combine technical analysis with astrology, and I have a history of 87% accuracy with the predictions so far. Please ignore the spam bots in the comments below. Watch this video all the way to the end because I'll be giving some Bitcoin predictions. Click the like button. If we get this video to 350 likes, I will make an XRP video, Solana video, and Ethereum forecast video for the month of April based on astrology. Let's look at the Bitcoin chart here. So we did get this big rejection here. Take a look at these moving average lines. See this red line right here, and then this blue line down here. That's the 50 and the 200-day moving average. We just got rejected off of this red moving average line, and we have been below this red moving average since, wow, really since all the way back to February. Wow. So the fact that we just got rejected again, it just means that we could have further downside here. I mean, that was a pretty harsh rejection there. Arguably due to the fear of tariffs, the Trump tariffs. And if you take a look at these moving averages, the red line's about to cross over the blue line in a couple days here, and that is known as a death cross. And historically, that does not bode too well for crypto. I mean, if you look, we did have one back in August last year. Bitcoin paused out for a little bit there. It wasn't too bad because we were still in quite a bull run. We got a small one back in 2023. But the scary thing is, we could also be in a situation like this where Bitcoin heads down a little bit more before it move up. Or the worst case, crosses down here, kind of near this red arrow, where it crosses down, and that was the bear market. I mean, it did, Bitcoin stayed below this red line for a while. It did bounce up to the blue line, but that was it. It got rejected off of there. So there's definitely a concern there, all right, that we should be aware of once we get this death cross coming in here. If we look at the monthly close, we'll go to a cleaner chart. We closed the month. Let's take a look. Yeah, so we went up. We hit this 21 SMA moving average line, and then we got rejected. So that's significant. That's definitely a bit bearish there. We bought all the way up to, around 94, but then we got sold off and closed around 82,500. So we might not recover from here. I don't know. It could take a couple months here, if that. The really good news is that if you take a look at this yellow line here, this is the global liquidity line, and there's, oh wow. Take a look at what we just got here. Take a look at this pump. Oh my gosh. That is a pretty big pump there. Holy moly. And wow, if we just keep looking at these yellow lines. So Bitcoin's been following it pretty closely. And there's actually another channel, forgot what the guy's name, but he has been comparing the global liquidity to Bitcoin. And basically, if you search global liquidity, it'll be lined up improperly. You have to offset it by about 108 days. And this is just an estimation. There's no 100% guarantee that this is perfectly lined up. But originally I had, I believe, 76 days lined up. And I can even show you with this little indicator here. If I change it to, let's say, I think it was 76 days. And then we pull it up. If it's offset 76, then it's this other line here. Let me change it a little. Okay. It's that one. And at first I was thinking that was pretty close, but I was probably off because, well, we'll still have to see. We're actually still in the process of seeing which one. But the 108, there have been some mathematicians who calculated how much this has been correlated over the previous months and years, and the 108 is getting some of the highest correlations to the Bitcoin price chart. So I think it's a pretty good idea to stick with this one, which would mean we have a bit longer, possibly through all the way through the month of April till we make a bottom here. Let's so we make a bottom right here before we start heading up with this huge move. And I mean, look at this last pump here that we just got that printed, I think in the last 24 hours, of global liquidity, ideally heading out to July. Wow, that's crazy. So this, if Bitcoin price lines up with this would mean May, June, and most of July could be super bullish, which is interesting because typically it's sell in May, go away, but maybe that's different this time. We'll see. The charts don't have to follow that sell in May, go away. But very interesting. So this could bring us into very bullish price action in the future, but it's not guaranteed. So we'll have to keep our eyes on this. The concern is this death cross. And the reason I'm leaning more towards this 108 global liquidity line is that would confirm that Bitcoin could get, with this death cross, Bitcoin could get a little bit more sideways action, or maybe it could get a little dump here. It could definitely go into the 70s. A lot of people have been calling for 74K, even 70K. Certainly possible. And we could still be in a bull market even if that happened, because we could still hold the macro. If we go to the monthly, we could still hold the macro. Let me just change this here. Got to zoom in. We could still hold these macro highs that we had back in 2024 around 73, 74,000. And it could even dip easily to 70 or 69 or 68 even, and get another bounce after that. And that would still, could still, if we held that as support, we don't want to close the month below like 70K. We want to see a nice bounce. And I mean, the bullish possibility is we could be, if we continue to follow that global liquidity line, the bull market could still be on. But we'd have to survive this death cross, which is possible. Hasn't happened that many times, but certainly possible. We'll have to keep our eyes on this. April general astrology. So April 4th, we have Saturn sextile Uranus. That's arguably positive. Saturn trine Mars. So Saturn brings slow and steady growth, and it's making these positive aspects to Uranus and Mars. Uranus is the planet of crypto. Mars can bring explosive moves. We have Venus trining Mars. That's nice. I mean, Venus, the planet of money, love, and what we value. Trining Mars can bring some nice moves there. That's positive overall. But April 7th, we do have Saturn conjunct Venus and Mercury. Interesting that Mercury and Venus are retrograding right now. They're going to get, Venus is going to exact conjunct Saturn. Mercury is going to get very close to Saturn. So we could definitely have some tough lessons in reality, maybe a moment of truth, like a truth bomb. That's really the energy of that. It could be humbling. So Saturn is definitely the planet of karma and hard work. And so this is where hard work can pay off. But if you didn't put in the work, then it might not be. Could be a tough lesson. April 7th, we also have Mercury goes direct. So that's leaning on the positive side. Not bad. April 8th to about the 21st, Venus sextiling Uranus, the planet of crypto. That's looking good. April 8th through the 16th, Mars is trining Mercury. That's positive as well. But Mars is still in the sign of Cancer, so not super strong. April 13th, Venus goes direct. That's definitely leaning positive, I'd say, as Venus is exalted in Pisces. April 17th, we have Mercury conjunct Neptune. That's not really positive or negative, but it could bring a little confusion. April 18th, Mars enters Leo. That's arguably positive, because Mars is, I would say, a lot happier in Leo, which is a fire sign. It's been stuck in Cancer for months, and it's not happy there. So April 18th, could we start to see a rebound by then? April 20th, Mercury is sextiling Pluto. That's positive. Mercury, the planet of trading. And then Pluto, the planet of wealth, making a positive aspect. April 20th, Mars is trining Neptune, minor positive. April 20th, the sun is squaring Mars. A little bit of caution there. Could bring explosive events. April 21st, Venus sextiling Uranus, the planet of crypto. That's looking good on the 21st. April 25th, we get Saturn conjunct Venus for the second time. So we get another truth bomb, another potential lessons that we can learn from that. If we put in the hard work, then that can be good. All right, we'll have to see. April 27th, we get Pluto, planet of power, opposing Mars. That's actually pretty explosive. This chart actually shows a time in history that we had Mars opposing Pluto 3 times, like we're getting this time, which is pretty rare. The last time was actually 2008 during the great financial crisis. Arguably, we're not in a great financial crisis. Most likely, we could be, some people say we're crashing upwards, which is also possibly. But 1939 was actually one of the times before 2008 that we had Pluto opposing Mars 3 times, because there's a retrograde here. And similarly to what's happening now, we had it once. Look at the red vertical lines here. We had it once, we had a pump and dump, and then a second time we had a pump and dump, and then the third time we had a big pump to it. And this time around, we had Pluto opposed Mars in November when we got the big breakout, arguably kind of similar to this breakout here. Then we got a correction. Then it happened again in January. We did get another push up in January, and then another dump. And so there's a possibility. That's interesting. Could there be a possibility that we could get a pump? I guess it's sure possible. That's really interesting. So it's definitely not guaranteed, but that's interesting that April 27th we'll get that Pluto opposing Mars for the 3rd time here. Then let's take a look at specifically the Bitcoin astrology, with the aspects that the planets are making to the Bitcoin astrology chart. April 3rd, we get the sun squaring the Bitcoin sun. Okay, slight negative. We have gotten a dump. April 4th to 5th, the moon opposing the Bitcoin, Pluto, Mars, and sun. Definitely some negative there. April 6th through 8th, we get the moon opposing the Bitcoin, Jupiter, Mercury, Neptune, and Venus. Definitely some negative aspects there. April 15th, we do get Mercury sextiling. This is after the Mercury goes direct. It's going to sextile the Bitcoin Jupiter. That's a slight positive. April 16th, Jupiter trining the Bitcoin Chiron. I can't really say that's super positive, but maybe slightly positive. April 17th, Mars opposing the Bitcoin Jupiter. A bit of a wild card there. April 18th, Mercury squaring the Bitcoin Pluto. That's actually potentially a slight negative. Jupiter, we then squares the Bitcoin Uranus. April 25th, Mars opposes the Bitcoin Mercury. 2 days before the Mars opposes Pluto in the general astrology. So that's pretty volatile energy. April 29th, Mars trines the Bitcoin Moon. That's positive. Jupiter squares the Bitcoin Saturn. And then April 30th, Venus sextiles the Bitcoin Jupiter. That's a positive at the end of the month. So could we, this is just so much, up and down energy. It's just extremely, extremely difficult to make a prediction. But yeah, maybe slightly leans more negative in the beginning of the month and then slightly more positive towards the end. I'd say that's overall the only thing I can conclude from this, but a lot of volatility. Some astrology themes is, quote, "This is not a drill." All right, this is where things start to get a lot more real. Neptune has ingressed into Aries from Pisces. Aries is a sign that does not mess around. And Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war. So this is, if you think of like a drill sergeant, like he doesn't mess around, right? He's like pretty serious. All right, so there's a little bit more serious energy here. The energy of the boy who cried a wolf. If you remember that story, it's about a boy who apparently, played a trick on the village saying that, oh, there's a wolf coming, and it was never true. So then the day that a wolf actually came and ate all of the sheep, he cried a wolf, but no one believed him, right? Because he kept tricking them historically before that. So interesting kind of energy here where, there could be a big truth bomb that people think is just kind of, people don't take it seriously, but this will really be something serious. So we should definitely take that into account. Conspiracy theories were correct. So I don't know about you. I don't know if you're into that kind of stuff, but if you look at historically kind of what's happened over the past 4 or 5 years, what happened 5 years ago, we're finding out that a lot of those theories were correct. Just throwing that out there. You can hate that or love it. Big truth bomb potentially coming with Saturn conjunct Venus April 7th. That could relate to this kind of boy who cried a wolf energy. As I've been saying, the victim mentality with Neptune and Pisces for the past 12 years or so will no longer necessarily be encouraged, because Neptune's in Aries now, and Aries is more like a drill sergeant, and drill sergeants doesn't play around, right? He doesn't really want to put up with a bunch of complaining and victim mentality, right? So those who don't want to wake up are in for a rude awakening, all right? So if it's ever a time to wake up, it's time is now. So this is a wake-up call, Neptune and Aries, all right? Shit's getting real. There will be a winning side and a losing side. If we go back in history, the last time Neptune was in Aries was the Civil War in the United States. There was a winning side and a losing side, okay? Aries is very much in that dual nature, coming out of that kind of oneness Neptune energy. Now it's more like, no, there's going to be a winner and loser here, all right, based on morals, okay? Just like kind of what happened way back then in the United States when one side of the country had slaves and the other side didn't. All right, there's a big moral battle there. So we are facing things potentially like that. Not that exact same thing, but obviously a whole new chapter of that now in the world. Those who still make excuses and avoid their spiritual calling will not have fun, okay? Neptune and Aries, like I said, it's like a drill sergeant. Just like, yo, wake up now. Like, big, alarms going off at 5 a.m. Like, wake up and get shit done. Be on your spiritual path, meditate, get your shit in order, and do what you got to do. Listen to God and the universe, higher self for guidance. If you guys need any guidance with that, I could also start to cover much more spiritual topics here on this channel. I'm also considering starting another channel as well. All right, so let me know in the comments below if you guys want more of that spiritual perspective. Trump tariff starts soon. More market volatility. We've already seen volatility, massive volatility in the last 24 hours. I looked it up, and on the website it says, President Trump will impose 10% tariffs on all countries. This will take effect April 5th. So apparently it still hasn't taken effect. So we could get a lot more volatility April 5th. As well as it says President Trump will impose an individualized reciprocal higher tariff on the countries with which the United States has the largest trade deficits. All other countries will continue to be subject to the original 10% tariff baseline. This will take effect on April 9th. So April 9th could have a lot more volatility when those potentially go live. Or it says these tariffs will remain in effect until such a time as President Trump determines that the threat posed by the trade deficit and underlying non-reciprocal treatment is satisfied, resolved, or mitigated. So it sounds like there is a chance that he could cancel some of these if the threat is, resolved. So definitely subscribe to this channel. If you haven't already, I'll be coming out with many more Bitcoin astrology updates. And if you guys get this video to 350 likes, I'll come out with a XRP astrology update for this month, Solana update for this month, and Ethereum update. And guys, I actually took a peek at the astrology for XRP, which is very interesting, but especially Solana. Also, Sui was very interesting. I found some very significant transits for this month that you guys definitely want to know. So definitely get this video to 350 likes, and I'll come out with those videos, as well as Ethereum. Ethereum's looking decent astrology. I could come up with an Ethereum update video. Average monthly returns for Bitcoin. April is historically the second best month. So we'll have to see. Perhaps we could close this month higher than we started. Certainly possible. Even though the astrology isn't like super, super bullish. So it's tricky. But like I was saying in the beginning, the end of the month of April looks a bit more positive than the beginning. So it's very, very difficult to predict, but I mean, the astrology is kind of all over the place. There's times when the astrology is very clear and times where it's like cloudy. It's a bit more cloudy now, but I would say that there's probably more continued volatility with the tariffs. There's definitely possibly a dump down into the 70s. It's possible. It's not guaranteed. Perhaps it could hold 80K. Then continued consolidation that possibly leads to higher prices in May. All right. So probably, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Like and share this video with someone who could benefit from it. And definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Click that button so you can get updated on my future videos. And this is a surprise photo here. This is my gorgeous, beautiful, amazing daughter who was born only about 2 weeks ago. Has it already been 2 weeks? A little less than 2 weeks. And anyways, I'm just over the moon, happy and excited. I was just holding her today, and it's just such a joy. I mean, look at this bundle of joy. All right, man. Thanks, everybody. Let me know in the comments what you think about this cutie here. And stay tuned for many more videos. All right, peace, everybody.